Hey, today's class is a Vinyasa flow sequence based on the element of water. We'll be moving our bodies and our breaths in unison to create a really nice rhythm that's calm and fluid, building some strength and also opening up a lot through the hips and the lower back, so you should feel really relaxed after the practice. If you know that you like to practice with blocks, then please have them ready. And show your support by donating to the link in the banner for the Australian Conservation Foundation on behalf of Flow with Sisko. And together we can show our love and appreciation for this beautiful natural world that we live on. Have a great class. We'll start today's class in a comfortable cross-legged seat. If you're practicing with blocks, just placing them to either side of the mat. We'll close down the eyes and start to tune into the rhythm of our breath. Drawing the inhale through the nose and releasing it out of the mouth. The body relaxes with the exhalation. Drawing our hands to heart center, we'll open this practice with one round of Om. You're welcome to join me in chanting the mantra or simply listen and allow the vibrations to surround you. Taking a cleansing breath in through the nose, exhaling through the mouth. We'll inhale for Om. Lowering the hands to the knees with your exhale and taking the right ear to the right shoulder. And we'll gently drop the head back and start to create circles with the neck. Pausing in any areas that need a little bit of extra attention or love today. We'll start to engage our yogic breath, breathing smoothly and evenly through the nose. Swap the direction of the circles with the neck, coming back around the other side. And then bringing the circles into the whole spine now, we'll shift the chest forward, circling all the way down into the hips. Allowing the eyes to stay closed and just feeling into the body, feeling into where you feel these stretches, areas of tightness or stiffness, maybe areas of spaciousness in the body. And just noticing how you're feeling today. We'll change the direction of the circle. And without attaching any story or reason or judgment, sitting with how we're feeling and just observing. Coming to the mat to move some energy through this flow, shifting into a space that is just for you, just for your body. Let's come back to center and roll over the knees into a tabletop position. The shoulders are below, the hands are below the shoulders and the knees are below the hips. We'll exhale to sit the hips back on the heels, pushing the belly forwards and broadening the chest like we would in our cow pose. And then inhale to
Scoop the tummy and curve the spine, looking through to the navel, coming into a cat. We exhale to sit back, accentuating this rolling movement through the spine. And then inhale to dome the back, bringing the shoulders back over the hands. Move through a couple more rounds in your own breath. Starting to feel this fluid rhythm created with our body and our breath. Taking the hands forward, one hand length, and keeping the elbows close to the body, we'll lower the tummy, chest and chin all the way down, and then press into the hands and the tops of the feet to inhale, baby cobra. Feeling the front of the body open up. And then tucking the toes, option to come through tabletop, lifting the hips as we press back to downward facing dog. Take a few moments here to make any movements that you need to open up through the back body. Shifting the hips from side to side, and perhaps alternating, bending through the knees. Staying with that deep, consistent breath. And as we find some stillness, we'll press into the hands, spreading through the fingers, and see if you can lift the sit bones and the tailbone even higher, finding space through the spine and through the side body. Exhaling to settle here. And we'll inhale to lift the right leg up overhead, three-legged dog. And then exhaling to place the right foot outside of the right hand. Coming into our lizard lunge. Option to keep the knee lifted or lower the back knee down. And then moving through a few easy movements with the hips. Maybe side to side. Perhaps circling the shoulders. Plugging the right big toe down into the mat. And drawing the right knee in towards the right shoulder. Allow the left hip to lower towards the mat if you have the leg down on the floor. And find this opening through the front of the left hip flexor. We'll lower the back knee if it's not already and move the left hand slightly forward. The right hand comes to the right knee and we'll allow the right foot to come onto the outer blade edge as we look over the right shoulder. Finding a twist here. Inhale to extend the spine nice and long. And then exhale to soften into the shape, finding a little bit more space in the front of the left hip. Option to stay here or inhale the right hand up overhead, bending through the left knee and taking hold of the left foot. Opening even more through the right shoulder, maintaining that length through the spine. The face is soft and the breath is easy. Circling the hand back to center with our inhale breath. Both palms press into the mat inside the right foot. We'll tuck our left toes and lift the left knee, lowering the heel and walking the hands towards the center of the mat. We'll pause here for a moment, just feeling into the backs of the legs. And then continue to walk the hands around to the back side of the mat. Lowering our right knee down. Coming into a lunge and taking whatever adjustments you need, making sure that the left ankle is below the left knee. Feeling into the right hip flexor this time. With our next inhale, we'll become light on the fingers and lift the hands up towards the ceiling, coming into our Anjaneyasana. Settle with the exhale, and with your next inhale, feel the lifting out of the waist. Reaching the fingertips towards the ceiling and growing taller through the spine. Exhale, circle the fingers down, brushing the mat gently, extending through the left knee, drawing the left toes back towards the face for Ardha Hanumanasana. You might like to take your blocks here if you feel that the back body is quite short and tight, and this will help to keep a nice broad collarbone and broad chest, elongating through the spine. We'll stay here for another round of breath, breathing into the back of the left hamstring. And then alternating between the two movements, we flow with our breath. So replacing the left sole of the foot back down on the mat. Inhaling to lift the fingertips tall. And then exhaling to slowly and gracefully circle back. Moving with your own breath. We'll go through 2 more rounds. Finding a lightness with the lift. And a steady flow with every movement. Our next inhale draws us up to our lunge. And then we exhale to frame the front foot, tucking the right toes and lifting the right knee. We'll step our right foot forward, halfway lift with an inhale breath. Hands can come to the shins or fingertips to the mat in front. We'll exhale to fold over the legs, maybe finding a bend in the knees here. And then our inhale circles the hands up overhead. We come to stand, palms meet overhead, and then exhale, drawing the hands down through heart center. And we'll pause for a moment together in our mountain pose at the top of the mat. Closing down the eyes, connecting with the rhythm of the breath, noticing how the body has started to react to this introduction of movement, feeling this energy buzzing through the body. Let's blink the eyes open and inhale to lift the hands overhead. Exhaling to fold, flowing down to the mat. Inhale, halfway lift. And exhale, palms come to the mat. Stepping the feet back in our high plank. Option always to lower the knees, lowering the chest. We can inhale to take our back bend, baby cobra or upward facing dog. And then exhale to tuck the toes, lifting the hips, downward facing dog. Inhaling to come onto the balls of the feet, rippling the energy forward through the backs of the legs, rolling the spine, bringing the shoulders over the hands. We exhale to lower in our chaturanga or lowering the knees. Inhale, upward facing dog or baby cobra. And then exhale, rolling over the feet, downward facing dog. 1 breath here. And we begin the other side. Bring the weight into the right foot. We rise the left leg overhead with an inhale breath. Exhaling, left foot outside of the left hand. Option to lower the knee in your lizard lunge. Or keep the knee lifted for a more active pose. And the left big toe is plugging into the mat, drawing the knee in towards the midline. Finding our gentle movements here, maybe circling through the hips, moving the hips forward and back. Uniting this soft pulsing movement with the breath. And then if the knee is lifted, we'll all lower the knee at this point. And bringing the right hand slightly forward on the mat, the left hand to the left knee. Our left foot comes onto the outer blade edge as we peel the chest open to the left hand side.
Inhaling the spine nice and long, visualizing the tailbone and the crown of the head reaching away from each other. And then exhale, see if you can peel the chest, twisting from the navel, open slightly more to the left-hand side. Lowering the right hip down towards the mat, finding more space in the hips with every exhale. And your option to take the bind, lifting the left hand up overhead with an inhale, taking a hold of the right foot, and breathing into the space at the front of the right hip. Gaze can look over the left shoulder. We'll stay for 2 more rounds of breath, connecting with that easy flowing breath. Notice in this practice when the breath becomes a struggle, or when it's there with you, and how you can find that balance. We'll lower the right foot, circle the left hand back to meet the right, tucking the right toes, lifting the knee, lowering the heel, and then adjusting the feet as we slowly walk our hands back around to frame the right foot. You can take some time to pause in the middle with the hips if it feels nice. Eventually lowering the left knee back down. And we're setting up to take our low lunge, so ensuring the right ankle is below the right knee, feeling strong through the torso. Hands become light on the mat as we inhale to rise. Feel the pelvis engage here as it supports you to lift up, being sure that we're not dumping into the lower back, but finding that space through strength. Taking one more breath in here, elongating through the spine. And then our exhale, fold forward, hands lightly sweep the mat as they frame the right leg, extending through the right knee and drawing the toes back towards the face. And setting up for our half split, perhaps taking the blocks on either side of the right leg, folding from the hips rather than arching and curving through the spine. Breathing deeply. And a slight tuck of the chin to help elongate the back of the neck. And we'll start to flow between the 2 movements now, replacing the right sole of the foot back onto the mat. We inhale to rise, Anjaneyasana. And exhale to lower, circling the hands back to our Ardha Hanumanasana. We'll go through 2 more rounds, moving with your own breath, feeling into the power of the inhale and the softening of the exhale. With our next inhale, we'll reach tall in our lunge, and then exhale to frame the right foot, tucking the left toes, lifting the knee, and we step it forward to meet the right foot at the top of the mat. Halfway lift, inhaling, long spine. Exhale to fold. Inhale, we rise to stand. And then we'll flow back down with our exhale, folding at the hips. Inhale, halfway lift. And exhale, stepping it back to our plank. Coming through a few flows. Option to take the knees. Or simply rest. Keeping that connection with our breath. When we meet in our downward facing dog, we inhale to come onto the balls of the feet, rippling forward, shoulders over the hands. Option to lower the knees again. As we come through our flow, feeling that energy shifting and flowing through the body with the breath and the movement. Couple breaths here,
Connecting back to our breath, back to that rhythm. And then as you're ready, we'll inhale to rise the right foot up overhead and exhale to place it down between the hands at the front of the mat. Coming to our crescent lunge, we inhale to rise the hands up overhead. Exhaling to settle, strong in the back leg. Next, inhale, broaden through the chest, bending through both elbows, like someone is pulling a string on your heart, pulling the chest forward. And then exhale to dome through the upper back. Gaze looks down at the navel. One more time like that. We inhale to open the chest. Active through the hands. Exhale, gaze looks down, broadening through the upper back. This time we inhale, broad through the chest. And then our exhale is going to take the left hand to the left hip. And the right hand is reaching to the top right corner of the mat, preparing to come to Ardha Chandrasana. You might like to use a block underneath the right hand. The weight comes into the right foot as we float the left foot up behind us. Starting to stack the hips and stack the shoulders, opening out towards the left-hand side. Moving slow and steady here. There's no rush to get into any balancing shape. Finding a drishti point, a point that is unmoving, either on the ground in front of us, or perhaps the gaze is feeling steady enough to move out to the left. You might like to play with extending the left fingers towards the ceiling. And if you're wobbling or falling out of the shape, we will simply lift the corners of our mouth and come back into it with a sense of lightness. Taking one more breath wherever you are, finding that steady, easy breath. And then the left hand will come back to the left hip, and the hip and shoulders square to the front of the mat. Bend through the right knee, strong in the standing leg, standing to lift with our inhale breath, taking the left knee with us. Exhaling, hands come to heart center, left ankle crosses over the right knee, and we sit the hips back for our standing half pigeon. Staying active through the left foot, protecting the knee joint. We'll draw the belly in towards the spine, helping to stabilize. Finding our drishti point out in front. And once you find the physical shape, we'll tune into some of the more subtle parts of the posture, noticing the breath, noticing the concentration in the body. Staying here for one more breath. We'll inhale to rise the hands up overhead, taking the left knee with us. And exhale, hands through heart center. Left foot comes down onto the mat. Tadasana. Closing down the eyes. And just simply breathe and notice the effects of this posture as they wash over you. We'll blink the eyes open. Inhale to circle the hands up overhead, palms touch. And then exhale to fold it forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, step it back, high plank. We exhale to come through the flow. Back bending with our inhale breath, broaden through the chest. And then exhaling, downward facing dog. And the option is to skip out on any of the flows if it feels like it's getting a little bit too much, maybe resting in child's pose. And if you're coming with me, we'll inhale to lift onto the balls of the feet, ripple forward. Shoulders are above the hands, coming through our flow, uniting this movement with breath. Exhaling to lift the hips back to our downward facing dog. We'll take 3 slow, steady, controlled breaths here. And if you need to release out of the mouth, do so. Coming back to a calm, collected place and rhythm of the breath. We'll release our exhale here, bringing the weight into the right foot, inhaling to lift the left leg up overhead into our 3-legged dog. Exhaling, placing the left foot between the hands at the front of the mat. Steadying the foundation here as we lift, inhaling, crescent lunge. Exhale to settle into the shape, feeling this beautiful stretch across the right hip flexor. We inhale to bend through the elbows, feel the chest puff out, almost as if we're leaning back slightly over a beach ball. And then exhale to dome through the back, gaze looks down at the navel, feeling even more of an opening through the right hip flexor. Moving with our breath now, we inhale to broaden and exhale, looking down. Legs stay strong here. Inhale to open up one more time. And then exhale, right hand to the right hip, bringing the weight into the left leg as the left hand reaches forward. Right foot floats to our Ardha Chandrasana. Taking this really slowly, setting up for a balance is often the way that it becomes a steadier practice and a steadier shape. We don't want to rush into these balancing shapes, but rather move with ease and with the breath. So once you feel steady on the standing leg, starting to experiment with perhaps lifting the right arm towards the ceiling. Coming back to our breath. And see if you can soften through the face and soften through the shoulders. And with our next exhale, we'll lower the right hand to the right hip, square both the hips and the shoulders towards the mat. Bend through the left leg for support and strengthen as we inhale to lift to stand. Both hands reach towards the ceiling, bringing the right knee with us. Our exhale lowers the hands to heart center when we cross the right ankle over the left knee. Active through the right foot. And the hips start to sit back like we're sitting into a chair. Feeling into this beautiful stretch down the outer right hip. Keeping the chest nice and open here. And we'll tune into the breath. The gaze is soft and focused on our drishti point in front. Notice this quietness that surrounds you when the mind is completely focused. We'll inhale to rise to stand. Right knee picks up. And then exhale, hands come to heart center, replacing the foot beside the left. Allow both feet to ground into the mat. Close down the eyes for a moment. Simply ride the wave of this posture as it washes this energetic rush through the body. Where do you feel that energy? And how does it make you feel? We'll softly blink the eyes open and inhale to rise the hands up overhead. Exhale to fold over the legs. Inhale, halfway lift. Palms come to the mat. We step back to our high plank. Let's exhale to lower chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog or baby cobra. And then exhale, lifting the hips, downward facing dog. And then everyone come with me for this last round. We'll inhale to come onto the balls of the feet, rippling the energy through the body, rolling the spine, shoulders over the hands. And then we'll lower the knees, untuck the toes, lower the belly and the chest all the way down to the mat. Coming through a round of back bends, and take the arms down by our sides. Active through the legs. When you activate through the legs, feel the kneecaps lift up off of the mat. We'll come through Shalabhasana, exhaling to prepare. With our inhale, lifting the chest, drawing the shoulders back, energy out through the fingers, and the knees and the thighs lift up off of the mat. Breathing here, soften through the face. Gentle tuck of the chin keeps the back of the neck long. Feel this activation through the whole back body. One more breath. And then exhale to lower, bringing the left ear to the mat. Closing down the eyes. And just notice this heartbeat faster against the mat. Relaxing the shoulders. And we'll prepare to come through another round of back bend. Your option is to come through Shalabhasana again, the same pose, or moving through bow pose. Just being mindful of any lower back or knee issues here. We'll take a hold of the outside, bending through the knees, taking a hold of the tops of the feet. Bring the knees together and the big toes to touch. If you're setting up for Shalabhasana, arms down by the sides, we'll activate through the legs. Everyone exhaling to prepare. And then inhaling to rise. Those coming through bow pose, kicking through the feet, feeling a beautiful activation through the whole back body. Everyone tucking the chin slightly, creating length through the back of the neck. And remember to breathe here. Even in the most challenging posture, can you settle the breath? One more inhale. And then using your exhale, we'll lower down with control, releasing the feet. Allowing the toes to turn in and the heels to roll out. Close down the eyes. And settle through the breath. Allowing the energy of this back bend to move through you. We'll take our hands below our shoulders now. Pressing up onto the knees and sitting the hips back onto the heels, taking Balasana, our child's pose. So walking the hands out in front, extending the arms out long, or option to lower the hands back towards the heels, releasing the shoulders. Forehead comes to the mat. This is a nice counter pose for our back bending. Starting to wind the practice down now. Feeling this connection to the earth. Slowing the breath. And then bringing the hands below the shoulders. Lift the body up to seated. And walk the hands forward into a tabletop. Just to transition into our pigeon pose. So we'll bring the right knee to the right wrist, crossing the right ankle in front of the left hip. And then sitting the hips back, setting up for your pigeon. So the right foot can be as close or as far away from the left hip as feels comfortable for you. The more parallel the shin is to the front of the mat, the more challenging the stretch will be. And then there's an option if you have a block or a cushion, bringing it underneath the right hip to help support and square the hips down to the mat. And once you find a variation that feels nice for you, we'll bring the hands beside the hips and lift through the chest with our inhale. Walking the hands in front. I'd like to take a few swirling movements here before we settle all the way down into the shape. Just massaging through the hip joint a little bit, feeling into the space before we lower down completely. And then as you're ready to come to the forearms, you might pause here for a moment and eventually walking the hands out, bringing the forehead to the mat if it's available to you. And surrendering to our pigeon pose. Allowing the muscles in the legs to relax a little bit. And stay active through the right foot to protect the knee. Draw the left hip down towards the mat and draw the right hip back. Connect to the breath. And start to feel the energy in the body really settling down now. And we'll bring the hands underneath our shoulders, press the body up. And then walk the hands behind the right hip, shifting onto the hip and opening out towards the left long side of the mat. And we'll just lean back, taking windshield wipers with the knees, releasing through the hips completely. And once you've gone through a few rounds of that, shifting over now to your left-hand side, we'll take pigeon on the other side. So the right leg is going to extend out underneath you, and the left ankle is crossing in front of the right hip. Getting comfortable in your variation, staying active through our left foot. We'll bring the hands beside the hips and extend through the spine with an inhale breath. Feel that extension coming all the way from the right toes in the front of the leg and all the way up the body. And we'll take those gentle circles now, moving the chest, and feeling this shape in many different ways through the different parts of the hip and the left thigh. Even into the lower back. And then when you're ready, moving into the next stages of the shape, whether it's walking the hands out or lowering to the forearms. And breathing deeply with every extension of the shape. And once you come to your full expression, allowing the face to become soft and the shoulders to relax. And see if you can breathe length into the back of the left hip. Drawing the hip back and the right hip forward. We'll stay here for 2 rounds of breath, lengthening with our inhale and softening with our exhale. And on your next inhale breath, the hands come below the shoulders and we'll slowly lift the chest, rolling out onto our left hip and adjusting the hands behind the hips, setting up to come into a wide-legged forward fold. And so opening the legs out as far as is comfortable for you and as far as you can maintain a nice long spine. Active through the feet, we'll visualize the inseam of the legs wrapping up and over, externally rotating the hips. Inhale, sitting really tall, crown of the head reaches up to the ceiling. And then our exhale, we might start to walk the hands forward, and you can use blocks or a cushion to help bring the mat a little bit higher up to you. I like to find some really gentle swaying in shapes like this, moving into some of the smaller corners of the muscles that don't always get all the attention. And then one of my favorite tricks to really find length in this forward fold is walking the hands all the way out to the left-hand side, taking a hold of the left big toe with the right fingers, or reaching the right hand is enough if you can't take the toe. And then feeling this extension through the right side body. Gaze looks underneath the right arm. And just taking a breath here. As we exhale, walking the hands back through center. Coming over to the right hand side. And the left arm reaches across to take a hold of the foot, or just simply reaching. Gaze looks under the arm, and we'll take a breath to extend in our left side body. And we exhale to walk back to center, noticing even more depth in the shape, even more space through the back of the spine and through both side bodies. And then let's use the hands to support lifting the shoulders back over the hips. Gently taking a hold of the outside of the thighs to help the legs back to center. And we'll scoot back so that we're facing the front of the mat to take our Baddha Konasana with the soles of the feet touching and the knees opening out to the sides. You can take a hold of your ankles, your shins, or perhaps the feet, maintaining a really nice long spine. Drawing the knees down towards the mat. We'll inhale to press the chest through the arms, really offering the heart forward, opening through the hips. And then if it feels nice to start reaching forward, maintaining that length in the spine. And you can lower the chest down. Maybe finding that gentle sway in the shape. And at this point in the practice, we're really tuning into some of the more subtle parts of the practice. Once we get into this shape and it feels comfortable, noticing the breath, noticing the energy in the body, feeling this settled, peaceful vibe. Lift the chest with our next inhale. And if it's comfortable for you to have the legs how they are, bring the hands behind the hips. We'll lay back onto our mat, completely supported by the mat below us. Resting the spine down and bringing the hands to the lower abdomen. Pausing here in our Supta Baddha Konasana. Feeling the weight of the body as it relaxes down into the earth below us. And drawing our attention to our hips and our sacral region. This creative and passionate energy center. We've just stretched and created space. Feeling really open and active through this space now. And using your inhale to draw the right knee over the body, we'll meet the left knee on the left hand side. And the arms can extend out from the shoulders. Taking a passive reclined twist. You might like to draw the knees slightly closer to the left arm, or option to cross the right leg over the left knee. And we'll stay for a couple of breaths, finding a bit more space in the right side body, in the lower back. We'll draw the right shoulder down towards the mat. Easy breath here. Softening with our exhale. Our next inhale, we'll gently rise both knees through center. Adjusting in the middle if you need to. And then lowering them down to the right hand side. Taking our gentle twist. Breathing into the left ribs. Left shoulder plugs down into the mat. Notice if there's any effort here. Releasing that effort with your exhale. Allowing the body to completely relax in this shape. We'll inhale to bring our knees back to center. And perhaps rocking the hips from side to side, massaging through the sacrum and the outer hips. You might like to hug the knees into the chest, giving yourself one last squeeze. We'll eventually extend our legs out to the corners of the mat. Arms can rest beside the body with the palms up. And allow the toes to relax, rolling outwards. And the legs relax. Feeling the arms
completely settled beside the body. And there's just a gentle rise and fall of our chest and our belly with every breath. Relaxing through the head and the shoulders, and even the small muscles on the face. Bringing our attention back to the steady flow of our breath. And we'll visualize our bodies laying just as we are now, in the shallow water of the beach. With every inhale, feel the waves and the tide swell. And with every exhale, feel the water move back towards the sea. Soft and calm, steady waves. Synchronizing your breath to this natural wonder. And feeling completely calm as you float here on the surface of the water. Feeling this gentle rhythm soothe the body. And I invite you to stay here in this beautiful beach with the sun warming your skin for as long as it serves you today. Softly floating with the rhythm of the breath and the rhythm of the sea united together.